What is one thing I didn't show you? Wow, that's a good question. That's hard. I guess maybe sometimes as scared as I was.
Well, I was sure she was scared. Um, and I would say she was a brave soldier. She was brave. It's very devastating on the body level, emotionally, and can be physically, but I felt like she would get through it and be cured of it.
I just think that it really helped bond us more in that time. I feel like that was one of the things that I think was one of the bigger things out of the whole thing. Um, is just more of a genuine time to connect. I saw that I had blood in my urine when in the fall of 2013. And actually, I feel like I even was with my mom when I first noticed it. We were at a family's member's wedding, and I remember seeing it for the first time. I think it was November of 2013. And I just thought it was kind of weird, but we were busy and I didn't really think much of it. And it wasn't very much. So I thought it was a UTI, or my cycle or something like that, because that was my main and only symptom. And it was intermittent. And then the few months passed and I noticed that it wasn't going away, even though I had been treated for a UTI, and just noticed it kind of increasing maybe, or just seemed a little odd. So I decided to make an appointment with a urologist to get it checked out. I almost didn't go because I stopped seeing the blood at all. And it was very minor. When I say that, it was just a teeny bit, pink, very light when I, not a lot. So nothing that really alarmed me. But I almost canceled my appointment because it was just gone that week. But I kept the appointment with the urologist. I lived in Nashville at the time, and I went to see him, and he scoped my bladder in the office, and he could see with his visual scope that I had tumors in there. And he wanted to have them removed very soon, within a few days. So I did have a procedure to remove what he saw. And it was outpatient laparoscopic surgery. And then I got the diagnosis a few days later from his office. In fact, they actually told my parents first because they were wanting to know what was going on. And so my parents actually told me that I had had a cancer diagnosis. So that was a big, hard day.
We were in Danville, where we are now, and she was in Nashville. So this was going on through the phone call. Um, and Her dad is a retired physician. I'm a retired nurse. So we have a medical background. And I think he primarily got the report. And if I recall, he talked to her, and I talked to her after that. Um, we were shocked, to say the least, because there's no cancer in our families. And she's awfully young. And in our experience, bladder cancer typically is for a heavy smoker and usually a middle-aged to old-age man. So this didn't fit the medical picture that we were familiar with. Um, I knew she was very upset, and I tried to calm her as best I could on the phone, that these things can be taken care of. But of course, that doesn't help when you're in shock of something that you were not expecting at all. But we all felt like it was sort of a blow emotionally, but her dad and I felt like, treatments were the answer and that this could be taken care of. But at the time, it was just a matter of trying to help her emotionally cope with this knowledge all of a sudden. And that wasn't easy because we weren't in the same town.
I was glad that they talked to me about it. I think it would have been harder, like in the doctor's office, like to get the news in the room, kind of with the person, especially. And I can talk more about that. Just the initial doctor and the rapport there was maybe just not as like a soft and compassionate delivery. So I felt grateful that I got the news in that way because it was just a softer landing spot for that. It was a pretty intense appointment with him, but he talked about how I could do this baseline, first line of treatment, which at the time would be this BCG immunotherapy. He also talked about bladder removal, and really I almost felt like more in the sense that this is a very recurrent type of cancer, and I had a high grade, which is the scale of bladder cancer. But he talked about how recurrent it was, how my odds and chances of things like coming back were high even. And because it was high grade, I almost felt like bladder removal was something that was more on his mind for me, or that I wouldn't want to keep dealing with it. I also think there were other like chemotherapies I could mixed with it. There were just a few different options, but all I can remember from that initial consult was like the percentages of it getting worse or coming back. And that was just really overwhelming at the time.
My husband, with it being a surgeon himself, and he sort of took the reins with her at the appointments or at least to hear about what the options were. And he sort of took care of the medical, technical aspect of what they were proposing. And I sort of seemed to be the emotional support and the person that went with her to her treatments, because he was still practicing at that time. And I was able to go to Nashville and stay and accompany her to her treatments at the clinic and afterward, and help with her house and any kind of things we could do to help her just take it easy after these treatments and just be with her. I felt like that was my main function and where I could help the most. That's basically where I fit in, as I was just kind of the emotional with others, the emotional support, and helping with groceries and cooking and whatever needed to be done so she could take it easy and rest and recover.
The original was a TURBT. Then I had one in March with Dr. Chang, and then he waited a month or so to let my bladder calm down, and then I did the BCG treatments, and those were 6 weeks of weekly treatments, and that was the main course. Then afterwards, he did another TURBT to check, and then I waited a longer period, like a month, and then had 3 more treatments. So I was moved to maintenance. They were on Friday afternoons. I worked a full-time job, and I would take off Friday afternoon to go and get the bladder installations that were in the clinic. And my mom would come and keep me company because the long waiting period at a large Vanderbilt University, like large place. So it was like a long time to wait and then to go in and get the treatment. Then I had to wait a little while with it in my bladder before I could leave. And I think sometimes my mom drove me or took me, but other times she was just like there as company. And then we would go back to my house. And I needed to hold the BCG in my bladder for 2 hours to get it to work. And that could be really challenging, especially like when you have sensitivity, it can be very uncomfortable. But I would wait the 2 hours, then I would get to go to the restroom and let the BCG go and leave. And then I had a pretty sensitive bladder all like for 24, 48 hours. So just a lot of stinging, burning, habit frequency.
Being a nurse, a clinic environment and patient care is very familiar to me. So it wasn't maybe as intimidating or kind of frightening as it might be for a layperson. Um, I think mainly we just when we would get back to her house, I would have some food or make some food, and we would watch movies. Um, we might, walk a little bit in her neighborhood. She had a beautiful neighborhood, but mainly just kind of hang out. I would let her energy and desires be what drove whatever we would do or not do, but um, just keeping her comfortable and distracted. We both love good old movies, so we watched movies and just were together. Just being there, I think, made a big difference for both of us. So that's how that sort of transpired. And then when she was not feeling like doing anything, we just let her rest in another part of the house, and I would cook or clean or whatever needed to be done.
I decided to join a walk for bladder cancer awareness in Lexington, Kentucky, where there was the closest one and near my parents' town. And so I did that with a lot of my family members and friends, and it was great. And so then I decided, well, Nashville doesn't have a bladder cancer walk, and we should, because it's a huge medical community and there's a lot of people, and there's great urology programs. So I got together with Beacon, the Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network, to start the walk in Nashville in 2015. So I was like through the worst of my diagnosis and treatments and all of that. So that put me in this advocacy mindset about sharing my story and helping others. And I was just like so wanting to do this in the sense that I not in the walk space, but outside of it too. So that's when I found ways that I could connect as a patient advocate. So Emmerman Angels came up as immediately when I was searching for that kind of work and outlet for myself, because it was helping me heal as well through helping other, mostly young women dealing with this. And so I connected with them, and every time I had a phone call or in a match or whatnot, it was just great to be able to answer questions and share and help them. I felt like I expressed how grateful I was that she came. But I think, just to reinforce that it was a huge time commitment on her part to drive 3 hours away to come see me and spend all this time. And she even, like, they even were able to get a place like in my neighborhood to be close and to be spending so much of her time away from her other responsibilities here. It was just a major time commitment that I really, really appreciated, because I needed just a lot of positive energy. I needed the caretaking. I think it brought us closer together through the experience, for sure. I feel like just having the more time as I was going through it as an adult woman, but also like needing and looking for some guidance in that. I just feel like because I would say that maybe we were just more distant and not communicating as frequently or spending as much time together. So I just think that it really like helped bond us more in that time.
Your children have flown the coop and they're setting up their own nests, and you're just visit and enjoy them and whatever. But this was the call to come to her aid, and it. And since she went away to college and she got married and she never lived with me again after she left for college, it was a time for us to get to know each other as women, as not just mother and daughter, but kind of sister and sister. And this sister needed some help right now. And I'm sure as time goes by, I'm going to need some help from this sister. So we connected on a more deep level. And I don't think probably that would have occurred at that time or in any time if she continued to live in another state. But it's been very valuable for us both to know each other deeply through a crisis where we came together.
Be your own advocate, and when you know something's not right, continue to follow your gut instinct and persist through the medical system. It can be really challenging and it can be confusing, and to seek out other opinions, to know that you don't have to do this alone in one certain way, to really be open to other modes of healing and help, and expand your sense of care to friends and family that want to be there for you, and not to feel like you have to be this super strong person all the time, that you can really be vulnerable, and it's going to help you to feel, that you can feel scared and you can feel sad. And I just encourage anyone going through this to be open to asking others who've been through it themselves, like a patient advocate and another cancer survivor, and to know that they're not alone.
Listen to your family member or friend, because they'll tell you what they need. They might not directly, but if you don't decide what they need exactly, I mean, the protocol, the treatment protocol and the recovery does have things that you do, but just being with somebody is a powerful treatment. It's a powerful healing. And I think if you can be there for them and not take away their autonomy of choice, how they want to go through this, and just be a sounding board, because your own fear will probably make you want to fix them real fast, but the lessons are there for both of you. And if you can meet them where they are and go through it with them, I think the experience will have many blessings, even though it doesn't on the outside looks like such a great thing to happen. It could be the best thing ultimately.